Hello everyone, Kier here, and welcome to the InfiNOT podcast. I'm focused on the casual nature of the game, and each week I discuss the new patch, the new card, and my feelings on the game. Let's hop into it. What do we got? We got a new card, and we got series drops, and I have a little bit of a rant coming to that. But let's talk about Gorr the God Butcher first. Gorr is a 6-1, and he says, ongoing, +2 power for each on-reveal card in play. I mean, we've seen cards like this before, right? It's another Red Hulk, it's another Blob, it's just the big guy now. And there's a lot of places that Gorr can fit, surprisingly, and I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise because, I mean, on-reveals make up a majority of this game, right? So even, like, at a baseline, you can probably expect Gorr to be, like, a Hulk every game, just as a baseline, right? That's not even if you, like, build your deck for it. And shout out to my alliance, Winky Face in there threw Gorr into the, like, good cards deck that I've been running, and it works there too, just because you have everything you need to win the game, and then Gorr just scales depending on the matchup, right? Like, sometimes he's just gonna be, like, above 20 power. So, even in that list, he's amazing, but it's also brought back negative, like Mr. Negative, and boy, I don't mean to sound like a complainer, but I'm really tired of the negative decks coming back, dude. It's frustrating because, I mean, Arishem has come back with Deadpool's Diner, and that's frustrating to play against, and then you go up against a negative deck, you see that they get negative on 3, and you're like, okay, do I just leave now, or what? Because, like, what are you supposed to do? I don't know. Maybe it's just the pessimist in me, but I assume that if they get negative, I'm just going to lose. Like, their deck is probably built in a way where if they get negative early, they just win. And right now, there's a lot of consistent ways to do that. With Zabu, Ravonna, and Psylocke, I mean, your options are limitless there, and then there are just so many cards that benefit off of this. So seeing Gorr in that list has added a whole new dimension to that, in a way where I think before it was just okay. Like, before, you had to use Null in order to get the same effect, and you had to have, like, Arnim Zola or some sort of Destroy proc in order to make sure that when you copy it with the free Mystique that you have, it's really impactful on the board. But Gorr just solves that problem for you, because Gorr is going to be big anyway. So yeah, not a huge fan of that list, and I'm not, I don't know, I'm not super excited for this card just because it's another, we've seen this before. Like, we've seen big cards before, and I don't know. I'm personally not getting the card, despite how good it is. Like, I'm sure if I got the card and I ran a whatever deck, I could probably do extremely well, but I just can't do it. I'm sure that at some point they'll take a look at the stats and go, yeah, that's too high. But we'll see. You know, maybe they want just a card like Blob to just stay in the game. Just a big 6-drop. It's possible. This next section, I hope, isn't too lengthy, but I am not happy with their series drop. And there's not really a way to sugarcoat it. This is, like, really sad. Like, really, really sad to look at. There are only 3 cards going into Series 3. As a reminder, it's been over 6 months, and when we were told that they were looking to fixing card acquisition, I thought that this would be the best way to show that they're looking into it. Right? But they just keep saying, hold on, guys, we're working on card improvements, and it's, like, really frustrating. I mean, like, there are things that I'm excited about, right? Like, the character mastery thing, really awesome, really excited about that. I'm really excited for some of the new Marvel Rivals collabs. Really excited about that game. So, like, I'm excited about Marvel Snap. I think there's things to be excited about. This is just, it's almost insulting. And I don't use that word lightly, but, like, okay, let's go over the cards that actually dropped, and then we can talk about it. So, going from Series 5 to Series 4, we have Fastos, Grandmaster, Pixie, Beta Ray Bill, X-23, Supergiant, Sasquatch, Valentina, and Iron Lad. And then going from Series 4 to Series 3, you have Snowguard, Kitty Pryde, and Jean Grey. So why do I say this is insulting? Well, looking at the Series 3 cards that we got, which is 3 of them, you have Snowguard, which hasn't been relevant since Loki was nerfed. Jean Grey, who has really struggled finding her footing. And Kitty Pryde, which we all got for free, like, last year. What is there to say about these cards? Like, I think Kitty Pryde goes on a couple of decks, right? There's certainly some value to her, although if you were playing the game before, then you already have her, and if you don't have her, you probably aren't playing the archetype in which she's good anyway. So, the other 2 cards you can't really build a deck with, right? I think Snowguard is an interesting card. I've played around with her in some good card lists. I think she has a place. But only 3 cards, and, like, 2 of them are completely irrelevant in terms of their, stats. And one of them we got for free. So I'm just like, what are you guys doing? And then, for the actual cards that we got to Series 4, it is a grand total of 9 cards. 9 cards. As a reminder, we get 5 new cards into Series 5 every month. So, these cards, I think, are interesting, right? Some of these, I would even say, are like genre, or deck defining, right? Like X-23, very, very good. Pixie unlocks a whole new archetype, right? So, like, those cards are neat, but all of these other cards are, like, niche, so... And you can tell that what they're doing, right? They're looking at the win rate, they're looking at the play rate, and they're going, okay, what cards can we put down that isn't going to hurt our bottom line? Because we know that these cards aren't selling. So Supergiant's in here, Fastos is in here, Valentina's in here, and by the way, we just had Valentina's Spotlight, so I'm sure you've probably heard it from a couple of the people that you already watch or listen to. But it's really hard to have faith that they're actually listening to us when you see stuff like this. It's almost the opposite of what they're saying. They're doing stuff that would indicate that they're barely keeping up with the promises that they gave us. I think a huge reason that this doesn't land for me is because we know that there are some amazing Series 5 cards that should have been dropped, and there are a lot more Series 4 cards that should have been dropped. I mean, just as a reminder, MODOK is a Series 4 card. Null is a Series 4 card. Gladiator is a Series 4 card. Darkhawk is a Series 4 card. These cards have been in the game forever. And, like, some of these, I think, need to drop because they're tech cards. Like, Mobius. Why is he still Series 4? Like, why are we holding these cards hostage? And then for Series 5, I mean, the list could just go on forever for cards that should drop. Like, High Evolutionary unlocks an entirely new archetype. He's still Series 5. Jeff has been in the game forever. Clearly, they just want to keep money making off of him. I guess it's working. Eliath has been in the game for a long time. Like, I don't know. I guess I just feel a little crazy. I feel like we've crested the point where they need to be saying to themselves, are we going to make our players happy, give a reason for them to stay until we fix this problem, or just keep the status quo? And I feel like that's what they're doing right now, is they're just keeping the status quo. And I don't want this episode to be too much of a downer. Like I said, there are a lot of things that I am excited for in Marvel Snap. But the writing is on the wall, guys. I mean, if it turns out that this next series drop that they announced in the first quarter of next year is just as unimportant, I feel like that would be the final nail in the coffin. Right? We've heard them say that they've been working card acquisition for a long time. And I get it. Look, they're a development team. that may have a pretty small number of people working on it. But you know what would give me more confidence is if they just told us what was going on. If they just communicated it. Like, hey guys, the truth is, it's a really difficult problem to solve. We need to make a bottom line. Here are some of the ideas that we've had, right? Or maybe they should consult with people who have been playing the game for a long time and ask them, you know, what would you like to see in the game? And if they don't want to do any of that, just tell us your progress on the card acquisition problem. You just keep saying it's coming. There's no ETA, there's no like deadline for it. We can't expect anything. And so that leads me to believe that it's not anywhere close to done. Because I can't assume that it's anywhere close to being finished. So, yeah, not really happy about this series drop. I'm also, I talked about my thoughts on Deadpool's Diner. Really not super excited about that. So, I don't know. The game for me has been feeling kind of, shaky. I'm still playing the decks that I enjoy. I've been playing a lot more Conquest recently just because it's a nice break from the ladder. But we'll see how this whole thing ends by the end of the month. Right? We have a couple of card releases this month that look pretty fun. And if they didn't lie to us, we should be getting Character Mastery before the end of the year, which is really exciting. Character Mastery is one of those things that I think adds a level of depth to the game. Something for people like me to strive for that doesn't necessarily require me to sweat everywhere. I can just play the game and the cards that I enjoy, and that makes me feel really good. So anyway, that was a big rant, and I apologize if you're going through the same feelings as me. I certainly don't want to perpetuate the cycle of negativity that I've been seeing online. But I think it's important to say that the game needs to be worked on in a lot of ways. And the biggest one of those is the monetization. So if you like this podcast, you know what you can do to help support me. So I won't go on a spiel about that. And if there's one thing you can remember, it's that I'm InfiNOT. Thanks for listening.